Welcome to this video. Today we are going to see access and networking setting in Azure Storage Accounts. Today we will explore how you can secure your data and optimize network performance by properly configuring these settings. Azure Storage Accounts are key components of many cloud solutions, providing scalable and secure storage for various data types. However, to fully leverage the power of Azure Storage, it's crucial to understand and correctly configure access and networking settings. These settings help ensure that only authorized users and services can access your data, while also optimizing performance and compliance. Let's begin with the access keys. Access keys are essentially password for your storage account, providing full administrative access. You get two keys by default, which allows you to regenerate one key without disrupting access. However, due to the broad access they provide, it's important to handle them securely. To locate your access keys, let's go to the Azure portal and let me show you where we can find the storage account access key. Once you will on Azure portal, you can go to the storage account. Under the storage account, on the left-hand side pane, you can see the security plus networking settings, where you can see the access keys. Once you click on the access keys, it will load a page for you, where you can see the storage account name, the key 1, key 2. If you want to see or copy that key, just click on the show button. Once you click on that, you will be able to see the key and you can see the copy button here. You just need to click on copy button and you will be able to copy that key. And you can share or you can save securely. Now let's say if you want to regenerate or rotate your key for some scenario, what you need to do, you just need to click on rotate key button. It will ask to provide that authorization, or it will confirm with you that are you sure you want to regenerate the access key. So you just need to click on yes. Once you will click on yes, it will regenerate the key. As you can see here, previously it was starting with the /k. Now it is starting with BKWHRZI. So that is the way how you can copy and paste, or you can see the key, or you can regenerate the key. While access keys are useful, they offer broad access. For more granular control, consider using the shared access signatures or SAS tokens. SAS tokens allow you to grant limited access to your storage resources for a specified time period. To create a SAS token, let's go to the Azure portal. On Azure portal, in the left-hand side pane, you can see the security plus networking. Under that, you can see the shared access signature. Once you click on that shared access signature, you will be able to see the allowed services, where you can select the various services like blob, file, queue, table. So based on your requirement, you can select for which service you want to generate the SAS token. Allowed resource types. Under the allowed resource type, the resource types accessible with that SAS token. You can see that services, container, object. So based on your requirement, you can select the resource. Next, there is allow permissions. So you can select the permission, like if you want to only allow the read permission or list permission, or add, create, update, or full control. You can select that the box based on your requirement. For example, I am selecting all of them right now. And then you can select that index permissions and all those stuff. The next part, you can see that start and expiry date and time. So you can select, after generating that SAS token, you can select the time when it will start, it will allow the access and it will stop the access. So if you, let's say, if you want to allow that particular user to access the data, whatever you have on a storage account for a particular time window, then you can select start and end time, and it will only be accessible during that time period. Once the time period will expire, the external user will not able to access that data in the storage account. Now let's generate the SAS key, or I can say SAS token. If you can see here, this is the connection string, the SAS token. And these are the URLs for a blob service URL, file service URL, queue service URL, and table service URL. Next, let's discuss Azure Active Directory, or Azure ID, or Azure Entra ID integration. Azure Entra ID allows you to manage access to your storage account using role-based access control, or RBAC. This approach is more secure and manageable, especially in an enterprise environment. To enable Azure Entra ID integration, let's go to the Azure portal. On Azure portal, under the storage account page, On the left-hand side pane, you can see the access controller IAM. Once you click on that IAM page, you can see that add button where you can see the drop down add role assignment. Just click on that one. Here you can select role assigned to user or group and define the scope of access. This method is recommended for most scenarios as it avoids the need for access keys or source tokens and leverage your existing Azure Entra ID setup. Now let's talk about virtual network or VNet integration. VNet allows you to restrict access to your storage account or specific subnet within your Azure virtual network. This is particularly useful for securing data in a hybrid cloud setup. To configure VNet integration, let's go to Azure portal. On Azure portal, you can see the security plus networking. Under the networking settings, here you can select public network access. So as you can see, right now it is enabled from all networks. Once you click on enable from selected networks and IP addresses, you will be able to see the more options here. Here you can add the existing virtual network. Once you click on our existing virtual network, you can see the subscription option. Under the virtual networks, you can see the multiple virtual networks. If you have multiple virtual networks, you can select any of them. Once we select the virtual networks, after that the subnet will pop up and you can see the multiple subnets. If you want to allow the traffic from particular subnet, you can select any of the subnet and click on enable. So once you enable that, it will only allow the access to the storage account from that subnet. As you can see here, we can see that by configuring this, it will provide the additional security to your storage account. Once you're done with all the configuration, you can select or you can click on save button. For enhanced security, considering using private endpoints. Private endpoints allow you to access your storage account or a private IP address, keeping all traffic within the Azure network. To set up the private endpoint, let's move to the storage account on Azure portal. On the same page where we previously see, under the security plus networking, under the networking, you can see the private endpoint connection. You can click on a private endpoint. Here you can select the name of the private endpoint. Next, you can select the resources. So here you can select any of the resources for which service or which sub-resources you want to create the private endpoint. For example, if you want to create the private endpoint only for the blob, then you need to select the blob, but you can't select the multiple resources. For each resources, you need to create a separate private endpoint. So for example, right now we are going to use blob storage. In the next, you can see the virtual network through which virtual network it should communicate. And you need to select that IP address. Once you select the IP address, if you want to apply any application security group or tag here, you can select or you can create a new one. Then you can select static allocation of the IP from the subnet, or you can choose the dynamically allocation IP of the subnet. Now I'm going to choose dynamically allocate the IP address. Once we click next, it will ask for the DNS. So here it will ask you to create the integration private DNS zone. Let me create the private DNS zone. I'm going to select the yes. The validation passed. Let's click on create. It will take few minutes to complete the deployment, so I'm going to skip this part. Now the deployment is completed. Let's go to that storage account. Let me click on a private endpoint connection. As you can see here, the connection is created. You can click on the private endpoint. You can see the DNS configuration for this one. So as you can see here, the IP address assigned to this is 10.0.0.10, and the link to this storage account, which looks like this, the FQDN, the storage account name, .private link, .blog, .co, .windows.net. Finally, let's cover firewall and access restrictions. Azure Storage Account Firewalls allows you to restrict access based on IP addresses, helping you to control who can connect to your storage account resources. To configure the firewall rules, let's move to the Azure Storage Account. Under the Security plus Networking, you can see that firewalls and virtual networks, where we have configured this uh, private subnet. It is only allowing the storage account access from the private subnet. Under that, you can see that there is an option of the firewall, where you can see that add IP range to allow access from the internet or your on-premises networks. Here you can select, you can click on add your client IP address. This is my public IP address, or you can add your IP addresses or CIDR from the on-premises or IP range. By that way, this ensures that only traffic from this IP addresses is allowed to access your storage account. Additionally, you can restrict the access based on the Azure services, allowing only trusted services to interact with your storage account. In summary, proper configuration of access and networking settings in your Azure Storage account is critical for ensuring data security and optimizing performance. By using access key, SAS tokens, Azure Entra ID integration, VNet and private endpoints, and firewall, you can control who access your data and how it accessed. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth guides on Azure and cloud computing. Leave any questions in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.